It's lights out and away we go.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast.
We are your hosts, Harshit Das.
And Ashish Panda.
It's a podcast on F1 Motorsport.
We are gonna cover everything related to F1 world.
So sit back and enjoy listening to us. So, Ashish, from the previous episodes, I know about the teams that will be racing in the 2022 season and also about the drivers. But is there something that I should know before I can just go ahead and tune into my first F1 race of this particular season?
Well, to tune in to your first F1 race, you need to know the main important thing. That's the F1 2022 calendar. And if I have to start how the calendar is going to start, the first race is in Bahrain and it starts on 18th March. And as it goes throughout the 23 races, it's gonna end on 20th November in Abu Dhabi.
23 races. Well, that's a lot of races, and I think that will be more than enough to keep us entertained for the whole year.
Yes, Harshit. 23 races are a lot of races to tune in, but the reason for the teams to fight in the F1 in this throughout the 23 races and throughout the year is due to the point system, the points awarded in the WDC and WCC.
Wait, hold on. What is WDC and WCC?
Well, WDC is World Drivers' Championship and WCC is World Constructors' Championship.
Can you please elaborate?
Well, WDC is the ranking of all the racers who have fought throughout the year and the amount of points they have received in every races. Coming to the World Constructors Championship, it is the ranking of the teams based on the points received by both the drivers of the teams. So the winning team in the constructors is the team who received the highest number of points, but it doesn't mean the World Drivers Championship will be from the team who won the World Constructors Championship and vice versa, which is for example that happened in 2021 where Max Verstappen won the WDC but Mercedes won the WCC. So Harshit, I mentioned you about the WDC and WCC in terms of the rankings and the points that are awarded after the season. But what's the amount of points that's awarded in every race that results in the rankings of the teams and the drivers?
Yeah, as you mentioned, like what you said, like it was in the end the totaled points from the whole season that like lead to the awarding of the World Driver Championship as well as the constructors. So the format is pretty standard. So every race, a set of points are awarded to the top 10 drivers who finish in the races. So the point system goes as follows, like the first, second and third get 25, 18 and 15 points respectively, and then from the fourth place it's like basically 12 points to the fourth one, and then 2 points are reduced from any positions after that until 10th, and all the drivers who finish below 10th, they aren't awarded any points. But there is also a single point for the fastest lap. So suppose a driver running in the top 10 manages to take the fastest lap of the whole race, so he gets an additional point. But let's say a top team has one of its car due to some issues running out of the points, but they can use that car strategically to steal the point away. So if you are finishing below 10th, you are not going to get any point for the fastest lap, but you get to steal it from the one or from anyone who has had it in the top 10. So that can also be done. So since each and every driver is awarded points according to this particular system, at the end of the season, like the points of the drivers will be added up to form the constructors, and the two drivers of each team, like when added up, the ones who will have the most points will end up winning the constructors title. Okay, so now we are done with the points, why they are fighting in the end of the day, like for the drivers championship and the constructors championship. But what is the format exactly? Like, do they just get in the cars and just start racing on a random day, or is there any format that is followed for every race?
Basic format that has been changed over the years and it's going to be followed in the 2022 season. Formula 1 Grand Prix event spans throughout the weekend. It begins with 2 free practice sessions on Friday, except in Monaco where Friday practices are moved to Thursdays, and 1 free practice on Saturday. Additional drivers, commonly known as third drivers, are allowed to run on Fridays, but only 2 cars may be used per team, requiring a race driver to give up their seat. A qualifying session is held after the last free practice session. The session determines the starting order for the main race on Sunday. and then the next day, and on Sunday, the main race takes place, where after completing the specific number of laps, the drivers are awarded points based on their positions, and then the teams wrap up and leave for the next race.
Yes, that's definitely the format, but I think Ashish, you are forgetting one thing that was just added last year. You are forgetting about the sprint qualifying.
Yes, why don't you mention about it? Because I have very few knowledge about it.
Okay, I'll definitely go ahead. So, sprint qualifying was something that was added in the 2021 season, and it was just FIA trying to, experiment with a new format of race weekend. And so, in 2021, the sprint qualifying was held thrice in three different locations. That was Monza, Silverstone, and in Brazil. So, in terms of a sprint qualifying weekend, so the sessions were as follows. Like on the Friday, instead of two practice sessions, there would be just one practice session and a proper 1 hour qualifying session, which would decide the grid for the sprint qualification on Saturday. Now we move on to Saturday. We have practice session 2, and then once practice session 2 is done, we then line up for the sprint qualifying. So now in sprint qualifying, the grid lineup is based on the Friday's qualifying session, and the drivers complete about 100 kilometers, not more than that. There are no mandatory pit stops, and based on where the drivers finish in this short race, that is the sprint qualifying, they are aligned on the grid in the same positions for the Sunday's race. And then the Sunday's race, as usual, it takes place, and once the drivers have completed the specific number of laps, they are awarded points based on their finishing order, and then the teams wrap up and move on to the next race.
So, including this episode and our last 3 episodes, this is the basic F1 starter pack that you need to watch the F1 2022 season from 18th March.
This one might have been a very short podcast, but stay tuned for the next one where we'll be telling you about our predictions and what we expect from the 2022 season, as it is about to begin very soon. So see you guys in the next one.